Well, hello. I put some music on today again. And now we have lived through another Christmas. I hope you had a lovely Christmas. Remembering why we are celebrating Christmas. It's in remembrance of our Lord's birth. Not that he was born on that day, but it's in remembrance. It's a celebration of the fact that he was born. It's a universal celebration. So this video will actually be the last video where I will read about, well, I don't know forever the last, but for now it's going to be the last video where I read of the happenings surrounding Jesus' birth. And so today we will go to Matthew and chapter 2, and I will read the whole chapter this time. So it's going to be a longer video. So be comfortable. I hope you get your Bible so we can read it together. And as I usually do, I first read the thing I want to read, and in this case it's Matthew and chapter 2 in its whole. And then after that we can discuss what we have read and ponder on the things. Let it sink into our awareness. All right, so Matthew 2. I have the marker here, I just remembered. Matthew 2. Now when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem, saying, Where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east, and are come to worship him. When Herod the king had heard these things, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he demanded of them where Christ should be born. And they said unto him, In Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it is written by the prophet, And thou, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, art not the least among the princes of Judah, for out of thee shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel. Then Herod, when he had privily called the wise men, inquired of them diligently what time the star appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem and said, Go and search diligently for the young child, and when ye have found him, bring me word again, that I may come and worship him also. When they had heard the king, they departed, and lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them, till it came and stood over where the young child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy. And when they were come into the house, they saw the young child with Mary his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto him gifts, gold and frankincense and myrrh. And being warned of God in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed into their own country another way. And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeareth to Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise, and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt, and be thou there until I bring thee word. For Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night, and departed into Egypt, and was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying, Out of Egypt have I called my son. Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding wroth, and sent forth and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem and in all the coasts thereof, from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had diligently acquired of the wise men. Then was fulfilled that which was spoken by Jeremy the prophet, saying, In Ramah was there a voice heard, lamentation and weeping and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children, and would not be comforted, because they are not. But when Herod was dead, behold, an angel of the Lord appeareth in a dream to Joseph in Egypt, saying, Arise and take the young child and his mother, and go into the land of Israel, for they are dead which sought the young child's life. And he arose and took the young child and his mother, and came into the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus did reign in Judea in the room of his father Herod, he was afraid to go thither. Notwithstanding, being warned of God in a dream, he turned aside into the parts of Galilee. And he came and dwelt in a city called Nazareth, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophets, He shall be called a Nazarene. one thing why this will be a longer video than usual is, first of all, I read the whole chapter, the second chapter, but then today I got the idea and the longing to go a bit more into these things that read here, in the way that when you have explanations that you can go and search for particular things from another place in the Bible, that I would do that today with you. Where should I start? Well, let's start from the beginning, from verse 1. There are 3 places you could go and look for things that is spoken of in verse 1. The first one is, now when Jesus was born in Bethlehem, it says that you could go to Luke chapter 2 verses 4 and 6. And if you remember, Luke chapter 2 was telling about the time of Jesus' birth, that he was born in Bethlehem in the city of David. Let's go over there so I don't say anything that is not. Luke chapter 2 and verse 4 and 6. Verse 4 is, and Joseph also went up from Galilee, out of the city of Nazareth, into Judea, unto the city of David, which is called Bethlehem. And in verse 6 it says, and so it was that while they were there, the days were accomplished that she should be delivered. And then it says that we could go to Genesis and 25 verse 6. Chapter 25. And this is just a moment, I should explain. That there, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem, and then they ask that you go to Genesis chapter 25 verse 6. Chapter 25 and verse 6. But unto the sons of the concubines which Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts, and sent them away from Isaac his son, while he yet lived, eastward unto the east country. Oh, that's interesting. Eastward unto the east country. Because I had thought from reading this that from the east to Jerusalem, that maybe this was referring to China. Wise men from the east, and wise men who were studying the stars. I know that in ancient Egypt they were studying stars. They were familiar with the constellations, and I know China has been a very old culture. They were very much into different kinds of studying, and both physical and, I mean, like astronomy and then chemistry and things like this. They were very advanced over in China. And you know, the old Aztec Indians, they had their calendar based upon stars and the sun, and astronomy was a very important science in ancient times. So but yes, and I want perhaps to point out that it's astronomy, not astrology. So these wise men, they perhaps were astrologers. They were studying the stars. Actually, let's go back to Genesis, but this time it's quite in the beginning. It's in the first chapter. Let's see what verse. Let's see. It's verse 14. And God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament." The firmament, our space, of the heaven, firmament of the heaven, to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days and years. But not just to tell time, but for signs. It was in God's will for those who were able to see, for them to understand and tell people, hey, God is hinting this and that through the stars. So it's not that astronomy is a bad thing. It's in God's will. It's the astrology, when you start to think that they can tell you what to do tomorrow or today, what's best for you, then that is from the devil. All right, but let's get back to this one. Yes, let's get back to this one. So they were coming from the east to Jerusalem, saying, "Where is that? Where is he that is born King of the Jews?" So, based on the studying of the stars, they knew that King of the Jews is born. First they knew somebody was born, then they knew it was the King of the Jews. And then actually, because they came to Jerusalem to talk to Herod, they actually knew that it was in Jerusalem. Not that this was in Africa or in Russia or Australia. Oh, this is so interesting. For we have seen his star in the east and are come to worship him. But when Herod heard this, he was troubled. And because it says that all of Jerusalem was troubled with him, so he must have been quite troubled. Perhaps there was a bit of a chaos. A king of the Jews, he was wanting everybody to tell him, "Have you heard anything about this before? Why hasn't anybody told me, the king? These wise men from the east come here and tell me this. Why hasn't anybody of my help told me anything? Why don't I know about this from before?" So everybody was troubled with him. So he gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together. So yes, he was really demanding of all the chief priests and the scribes. So these were the ones that were very well established in the temple. They knew about the old texts that the Jews were following. They were experts in that field, and he demanded of them where Christ should be born. And after they had gathered, they said to him that it's in Bethlehem, because it's written by the prophets that it will be in Bethlehem. So then Herod, in verse 7, it says, when he had privily called the wise men, it means that he privately, not that everybody knew of it, it was him and the wise men. He had privately called them, and then he inquired of them what time the star had appeared. So they explained then that, okay, we saw it in the east first, and then we gathered together, all of us wise men, and we started to make calculations of what is this, why is there a star over here now that hasn't been here before, and it took such and such time to make all these calculations, to gather different kind of wise men together. And after that, when they had found out, when they were of one mind what this star was meaning, then they started making traveling plans. So there must have been a time that elapsed, not just a day or a week, but maybe longer. So a star that was appearing and that hadn't been, it's not like it was a comet. I don't think so. Aren't comets quite fast moving? And they didn't have internet, so, and they didn't have planes to fly from place to place. So I think this was up there for quite some time already, this star. And then he sent them to Bethlehem, and he wanted them to tell him all about it when they get back. And they departed, and it says in verse 9, and lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them till it came and stood over where the young child was. So first it says an interesting thing here, and lo, the star which they saw in the east. So this is the star they saw when they were in the east. In verse 9 it says, for we have seen his star in the east. And now they say that the star which they saw in the east went before them. So it's like, now it's changing a bit. It's still the star that they saw in the east, but now it went before them, so it's like it's moving. till it came and stood over where the young child was. And then verse 10 is, it makes me excited, because actually, was it earlier today or yesterday, I listened to a video of Prophet Lovi Elias, and he had made this video a day ago or a couple of days ago, and he actually mentioned in that video something about the star that was over Bethlehem, that it was no ordinary star, it was no comet either, but that it could have been an angel. And actually, I'm not very astounded by that. I think it could be, because in verse 10 it says, when they saw the star. When they saw the star. I mean, they had been following this thing for a while now. And now it says, when they saw the star. So it's like they're seeing something with new eyes. Verse 9, it ends with, till it came and stood over where the young child was. So maybe it wasn't moving like this when they traveled. Maybe it was moving like this when they traveled. It was very high up first. It looked like a star. It was so high up, this bright star. Yes, because angels are known in the Bible to also be called stars. It was very high up first. But then, in verse 9, it went before them. So it came downwards. Downwards can also look like it's going this way when it's coming this way. It can look like it's maybe going that way, but it's lowering itself. And when they saw the star, because it was now over where the young child was, so it probably was down low. When they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy. How come you get exceeding joy from seeing a sun? They say the stars are suns far away. Well, anyway, how is it that you, from seeing a ordinary star, get exceeding joy? I actually think it's very possible that they saw an angel. They saw that this star, it's an angel of the Lord. And actually, some decorate their Christmas trees, but not having a star in the top of the tree, but having an angel there. So, oh, these things get me so excited. Thinking about these wonderful things get me so excited. Hallelujah. All right, so they were rejoicing with exceeding great joy, and then they were coming into the house. It's the house. It's not a dirty old place with only animals in. It's the house. They saw the young child with Mary his mother and fell down and worshipped him. They worshipped him. They worshipped the little child on their faces, on the ground. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto him gifts, gold and frankincense and myrrh. These are, well, gold is very, 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 how should I say, costly even today. And these gifts were not just a piece of gold and then some incense and a little jar of some spice. These were treasures that they presented as gifts. Gold, it must have been, well, a treasure. If you have a treasure, it is an abundant amount of something very, very valuable. And frankincense and myrrh were also very, very valuable in those days, as gold is still today. Maybe nowadays, because we value diamonds a lot, or rubies, maybe it could have been diamonds and rubies if it would have happened today. And let's see. Actually, it says that you can go and look into Psalms 72 and verse 10. Let's go over there. Psalms 72 and 10. Psalms 72 verse 10. Here I have it. The kings of Tarish and of the isles shall bring presents. The kings of Sheba and Seba shall offer gifts. Okay. Well, you know, in ancient times there was this Silk Road from China, and I know that it went to Constantinople, at least, maybe even further. And I've read that from Egypt and Greece, they were also in ancient time doing tradings, for example, silk from China and spices from Arabia and gold from Egypt, and here they are saying that the kings of Tarish and of the isles shall bring presents. So maybe this is now talking about this gold and frankincense and myrrh, talking about that these treasures, these gifts, these valuable gifts were from far away. It was a very, very valuable thing that they brought. And then they were warned by God in a dream that they should not return to Herod, so they departed into their own country another way. And I think this was both to spare Jesus' life, but also to spare their lives, because they had now seen the child, they knew where the child is, and what the child looked like, how old the child was, who the child's mother is, and so on. So they not only spared Jesus' life, but their own, because Herod must have known that, or they must have known that Herod knows that now they know all these things and they can go and tell everybody. So I think Herod would probably have killed them too, not just planning to kill Jesus, but the wise men also, so that they would be quieted and not be able to tell everybody about what they had seen. Yes. And when they, the wise men, were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeareth to Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise and take the young child and his mother and flee into Egypt, and be thou there until I bring thee word. Okay, so now Joseph gets a strict warning that he should arise and flee. These are very hastily actions, that he should arise, not just that when you wake up, then you could go and pack your things and make some traveling plans and see that you have everything with you. No. It says arise and then flee into Egypt. So this was a matter of great haste. But he also knows that this will not be like for how long. This will be until the angel will tell him to return, until I bring thee word. So he knows that this angel that now appeared to him in this dream will appear to him again and give him word. And then he knows why they should flee. It's because Herod wants to seek the young child to destroy him. So Joseph knows that it will be for some time that he will flee, and then he knows that he can return after that. But he knows that it's because Herod wants to kill Jesus. And then it says in verse 4, when he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night. So he woke up from the dream and he did it then and there. They didn't make morning coffee and sit down and talk. Well, you know, we should make plans for Egypt now that we have all this gold. No. And in verse 5 it says that they were there until the death of Herod. And it goes back to when Herod, in verse 16, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, meaning they didn't return to him to tell him about this child. He was mocked of the wise men. Did he wait a week or two? Not more than a month. I think it would have been reasonable for him to expect that they would return. He knew that they were going to Bethlehem. So he knew how long it would take to travel from his palace to Bethlehem and back. So maybe he waited a week or so until he finally realized that these men, they weren't coming back to him. They were not coming back to tell him what they had seen. And he was furious. He was a king. We saw it already in the beginning of the chapter that he was very troubled, that why didn't he know about these things already? these wise men from the east come and tell him that the King of Jews is born, why hadn't his priest and his people told him anything? So he was, it says, exceeding wrath. He was very angry. So he sent forth his men that would kill all the children that were in Bethlehem and in all the coasts thereof. Here it says children. In Swedish and Finnish it said boy children, but here it says just children, all the children that were in Bethlehem. So maybe he was that wrath that he said that all children under the age of, or from 2 years old and under. And why was it this 2 years old or younger children that he wanted to kill? Here in the end of verse 16 it says, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men. So you remember when the wise men were in the palace and he had asked them privately to come and talk to him, not having any other witnesses there but him and the wise men. He had asked them, when did you see the star? So Herod must have thought that this star had appeared a little bit before the birth to announce that this king is going to be born, or maybe that it was at the moment when Jesus was born that it was seen in the sky. So maybe it had been up for 2 years, this star then. Maybe it had been, not that Jesus was 2 years old now, that's not what I'm saying, because we don't know, but maybe the star had been up there for 2 years. You know, when scientists nowadays, when they gather and do their calculations and ponder on things, it takes some time for everybody to align and say that yes, I think so too, and yes, I think so too, yes, this must be how it is. So maybe the star had been up there quite a while. So 2 years and younger, all the children were killed in Bethlehem and the coasts around that place. And then when Herod was dead, the angel appeared again to Joseph in a dream, saying, arise and take the young child and his mother and go into the land of Israel. Well, Joseph came to Israel, but he was very scared when he found out that Herod's son now was king, so he didn't want to go to Bethlehem. He was afraid, and then he got a warning of God in a dream, and then he went a little bit sidewards from Bethlehem into the parts of Galilee to Nazareth. He shall be called Nazarene. Let's go to John 1:45. Maybe it says something about this Nazarene. John 1:45. John first 45, verse 45, chapter 1. Yes. Philip findeth Nathanael and saith unto him, We have found him of whom Moses in the law and the prophets did write, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph. Yes. All right. I think this video is now coming to an end. I hope you had a lovely Christmas time, remembering the birth of our Lord. And I pray that you will have a blessed year 2023. I pray that you may have all that God desires you to have. And actually, if you would like for me to pray about something with you, I think the easiest way might be to go to my Instagram and put a message to me. Write a message, and it actually feels like it would be an honor to pray with you about something that you want to pray about, something you need from God. Yes, that would be lovely. And the next video, I don't know if it will be this year still or next year, but the next video will not anymore be about Jesus' birth and the things surrounding that time. We have finished that part of the Bible for now, and we are going to other things. Actually, for next year, for myself, I have this wish to make videos where we could watch something together from the internet and discuss it together on live or on a video, pondering things that Christian things that are in the internet. That is something that I would like to learn how to do next year. I think it could be quite interesting both for myself and for you. Yeah. So do put thumbs up on this video and please share it if you feel led to. And I pray that you have a blessed new year. And let's see again in another video. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. Remember to pray to God every day, all the time. Talk to Him, and He will answer. All right. Blessings to you, my friend. See you again. Bye.